Romania is facing a crossroads. Its two greatest natural treasures, its forest and its medieval landscapes, are in danger of being lost due to uncensored modernization and illegal logging. Huge tracts of land have already been destroyed by the reckless greed of those prepared to sacrifice their legacy for financial gain. The extent of this problem can be clearly seen in and around the Carpathian Mountains. But it's not too late. There are those who are working tirelessly to save this crucial ecosystem. I caught up with one organisation hoping to link the Carpathia Natura 2000 site with adjoining national parks and areas of private land to safeguard remaining sections of pristine forest and create what might hopefully become the biggest wilderness reserve in Europe. That is quite a specimen. Elm tree, yeah?
Yes, it is a mountain elm. I saw a similar one in the Semening National Park, in the old growth forest, and it was about 400 years old. So this one probably has the same age.
So this elm was quite fortunate it didn't get cut down?
It was lucky because now it's part of a protected area and it is part of the property that FCC bought for conservation. So he will live as long as he can.
Nature dictates, basically.
As he can, yeah.
Tell me, obviously, you're taking areas of land and conserving them. How does it all work?
Well, 7 years ago, the group of conservationists and philanthropists got together and they came to the conclusion that in order to save those forests here, they have to try to buy the forests. We are trying and we are buying all the forests that are available to be bought in order to save them and to preserve them for perpetuity. And this is one of the important goals of the foundation.
So the only way to really ensure that the forest is safe is to own the forest?
Yes. We are trying to restore the forest with the original type of forest. And that should be an example to be followed at least in the Natura 2000 sites.
Do you have difficulty convincing the local people that this is going to be of direct benefit to them?
Yes, there are some difficulties because they are afraid that if there are restrictions, they will not get the compensations. But the number of the visitors will increase a lot in this kind of natural areas. And we are not talking about visitors for ski resorts or hotels. We are talking about visitors who enjoy the nature and who enjoy wilderness. And we have to admit that in Romania we have only 1.4% from the territory as national parks. So I think there is space for more.
How are you going about reassuring people?
We have to start to communicate more with the people. We have to start to bring examples because all over the world where is a national park, there were a lot of benefits. And the value of the wood from a forest, it's represented maybe only 30%. Because monocultures and managed forests you can find wherever. So this area on long term is very precious. And we have to try to preserve it like it is now. We learn at school that through forestry we are saving the forest. And after years I realized that it's not quite like that. To save the forest you have to leave the nature to do its job.
It's great to see chainsaws being used constructively for once. This is part of an FCC initiative with the help of the EU to repair the damage caused by logging tracks that crisscross these mountainsides. What happens is very rapidly, due to soil erosion, they turn into trenches and then ravines. So the idea here is to cut up all the dead wood that's left lying about and to fill them in, to cover them over with earth and then to replant. So in 30 or 40 years' time, you won't even know they've ever been here. Ensuring the safety of wild Carpathia is not just down to its present-day inhabitants. The best way to guarantee its survival is through environmental education. Sadly, something that is currently a low priority on many school agendas. To combat this problem, an international charity is launching a fleet of purpose-built battle buses to tour remote areas of the country and teach children the importance of biodiversity and ecological issues. It's encouraging to see so much positive change taking place in areas like these. There is hope, and many high-profile figures are now lending their support to champion the need for conservation. Not just of the forests, but also the historic villages and pastoral setting that surrounds them.
Your Royal Highness, how can we preserve this wonderful landscape?
Well, I mean, it is a challenge, I think, in today's world. I mean, part of the real effort, I think, is in trying to persuade people just how precious it is. So it's how do you provide protection and sensitive development? Because the key, obviously, you can't stop everything, but is to work, I've always felt anyway, if one can, to work with local people who 9 times out of 10 all around the world don't want to see their environment destroyed. But they want to find ways of ensuring that their lives can be improved and they have better opportunities, but within a living tradition, whether it's the built environment or the management of the landscape. The terrible problem I've always felt is that people so often go through a phase of, oh, well, none of this, it's all old-fashioned and out of date, doesn't matter, irrelevant, it's old things, chuck them all away. But later on, people suddenly realize the value of all this, by which time, if you're not careful, it's too late, because you've knocked so many things down or allowed all sorts of insensitive development. And clearly there's huge demand for food and everything else, but it does seem to me that one of the most vital aspects of all this is how you work with local communities, how to help ensure the survival, the future of the smallholder. This part of the world, you can't plough it up. And if you did, you'd release vast amounts of carbon, which is completely counterproductive. The meadows are, in European and global terms, utterly unique. I have never seen anything like it. There's nothing left like this. And this is a jewel in Romania's crown. It may be difficult for people to see this now, but I think Romania is a wonderful country. They are remarkable people. They're so resilient, and Romanians have had such a horrific experience throughout their lives. And so many people, when you think of 2 world wars and then all the other horrors between the last war and until now, people have been through so much, seen so much misery and destruction. Their lives have been ruined in so many ways, and I think we owe it to them to try and find a way to ensure that the future is better for them, but in a way that enhances the culture, the traditions, and the values. But unless you have the quality maintained, that integrity which attracts people because of the beauty, and how to raise the standards of accommodation and everything else on offer, it's going to be very difficult, it seems to me, for so many of these places to survive.
You were personally involved in the restoration of the house here in Zalampatak.
Absolutely. I mean, I was very lucky because I found wonderful people who knew what they were doing, and it also helped to train local people in all these skills. In fact, they're innate still, these remarkable skills that people have. I just want people to understand what you could do to these houses to make them suitable for modern living, but you can have the best of the ancient and the best of the modern. These are such special things, and we need biodiversity and human and cultural diversity. The danger of, I think, massive globalization is that before we know where we are, we've lost our identity and our meaning, and that's a dangerous moment, I think.
The rural communities and the forest are inextricably linked. As tourists pay to stay in villages like Zalampatak, so too will they explore the Carpathian hills and mountains, contributing to their continued safety and preservation.
With the right approach, this magnificent wilderness could become the Yellowstone Park of Europe and bring its people a far more sustainable income than the short-term gains obtained by felling vital forest. The tide is beginning to turn and will gain momentum with every visitor that comes here to marvel at this arboreal Eden. Romania is the warden of a vast natural landscape, the likes of which the rest of us have in our greed and ignorance destroyed. Let us hope that this beautiful country and its unique people manage to do better than us, not just for the sake of the bears, the wolves, the lynx, or the thousands of other species that rely on these pristine ecosystems, but so that all our grandchildren can grow up in a future where wild Carpathia still remains one of the world's greatest natural wonders.